Here we are. We are back. We are live. My name is Scott Wilkinson. I'm a professional body piercer. I've been doing this since about 1994, so I've got a couple years under my belt here. Basically what we're going to do here is we are going to go through a bunch of different piercing questions. If you have questions, you just got to ask a nice thorough question, and I'll do my best to answer any of these piercing issues you have. Personal questions, piercing questions. Heck, I can even help a little bit with tattoos because I have enough tattoos. So I just want to say hi to everyone. Hello, Trudy, and Malia T, and Darshani. Good afternoon, everyone. Where's everyone from? I'm here broadcasting in Las Vegas. It's a beautiful day out today. It's just like 75, 80 degrees. I don't know how hot it's going to get, but yeah, it's good to be back. I've been not doing this for a while. Hey, Haley. Hey, Ruru. And it's James the Piercer. Yeah. I actually haven't gone live in a couple weeks, and it's been really crazy. I've just been super busy, and it's one of those things where I had to take a mental health break. I'm looking at hiring another piercer right now. Some things are kind of changing here. I'm trying to hire staff for the live chat and some of these other videos. So we're making progress. I see Malia T's from California. Let's go with this. It says, hi Scott, I got my tongue pierced yesterday and it's really painful today. My tongue has gone white, and when will I be able to eat properly again? This is a fantastic question. We're starting right off with the tongue piercing. Now, the thing about tongue piercings is you're going to be really swollen, and probably for about 3 to 5 days. So I need you to eat. You just need to eat a little softer foods and slowly work your way up to a more tougher food to eat. So softer foods do work better. And then all that white on the top of your tongue is thrush. That is bacteria. Sometimes this happens. You should brush your tongue. So with a nice gentle toothbrush, just make sure you try to get that thrush off there. Don't overdo it because you can irritate your piercing and cause it to swell more. So just do your best to keep it clean. And also make sure you're using alcohol-free mouthwash because that's going to help a ton. But ibuprofen, Aleve, or Advil, those are anti-inflammatories. And the new piercer who I'm looking at bringing onto my team here, who you'll probably meet in the next couple weeks, he's pretty rad, was telling me that Welch's grape popsicles, the Welch's grape juice popsicles, have an anti-inflammatory in that grape juice, plus you're hitting the popsicle at the same time, double whammy. So check that out. So, and then Nessie B says, hello, Zulema Zir. What up, Scott? I just had my first ever rejection on my third eye. Let's try this again here. Just had my first ever rejection ever on my third eye piercing. So bummed, got it removed yesterday. That's a bummer. It really sucks when you lose piercings like that, but it does happen. Those third eyes, there's really no ridge. Like back in the day, we used to say, if you have a ridge, you can pierce it, and that's what it was all about. So there's no ridge, so you gotta do a surface bar, or you're doing the dermal anchor. Those dermal anchors are temporary anyways. What up, everyone? So glad you're here. So glad to be doing the live chat again. I'll start it off with the cheers from the Dutch brothers. Love you guys. All right, Haley Kamir. Hi, I'm from Maine. Or says, I'm here from Maine. I'm a little dyslexic, so sometimes I have a tough time reading these things and get it back and forth. And Camille. Hi, Scott. I have a question. If I were to get a surface piercing on my back as opposed to the normal dermals scare me much more. Don't do a surface piercing on your back. The thing about your back is when you bend over and stand up straight and you twist, there's so much movement. And with a surface bar where you have that kind of little, let me type this in here real quick here. Wrong. Hope everyone's having a good day. Surface barbell. See if one shows up. Yes, we're going to go right to this screen right here. Now, these are surface bars. Now, as you can see, that there's a certain length, and the thing is if you bend over and your skin stretches, this is going to pinch and it's going to cause it to reject. I don't see any possible way or any angle you could get a surface bar that low on your back and have it heal. So I personally would stay away. So yeah, dermal anchors are scary, but it's the only option if you want back dimples. So, and Haley's from Maine. So wow, the other side of the country. I'm on West Coast and got someone from the East Coast. And then James the Piercer. I lost my... Gosh, so many comments so quick. You guys are amazing. Thank you. And of course, James is from Texas. James is one of our regulars. James kind of helps out here. He's pretty rad person. Emily Sakuma, welcome back. And Emily's another regular here. Hi, Scott, missed you. Will emu oil help bumps with outer labia piercings? Absolutely. Emu oil is really amazing stuff. It's like the fatty tissue from the emu, the bird, and it's got all the nutrients you need. And if you have an irritation, pretty much anywhere in the body, you can pretty much use this. The only thing I would say is maybe stay away from oral piercings. I don't know if you're supposed to ingest it. I really don't know about that part. But yeah, labia piercings, if you have irritations or irritation bumps, those the emu oil can help a ton. All right. And Darshani says, my tongue have been pierced for over 3 weeks now, and the bottom of the piercing of the tongue is white. Not the jewelry, the tongue itself. And I'm scared. Okay, let's go a little bit deeper here. Are you talking about like a little, like on the bottom of your tongue when you do that? Because that is the fistula. But if the whole bottom is like pale and white, I'm not sure about that. A lot of times people use really strong mouthwash when they're trying to heal it up. Like I said, if it's alcohol free, that should help quite a bit. And I'm guessing you're talking about like either like a little white rubber band coming out of the piercing hole, or you see a tube kind of following the piercing. A lot of times when you downsize your jewelry after a couple more weeks, it's going to go away. But if it's the whole bottom base of your tongue, I'm not sure about. Let me know, because we're early enough in the comments. We'll be able to help you out a little bit more. All right, Wolf. Yo, Scott, hey, I've been wanting a mid-labret piercing, but I'm not sure if it hurts too much. I have a nostril one, and that didn't hurt too much, so I guess it wouldn't hurt them. Yeah, labret piercings are pretty easy. You know, it's a pinch. You've bitten your lip pretty hard, you've bitten your cheek pretty hard, you've bitten your tongue pretty hard. All of those hurt more than the actual piercing. The part that sucks is the swelling, the eating slower, and then just healing it up. That's the worst part, in my opinion, so... Yeah, and you guys help me out right away. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. And if you haven't told your friends about this channel or into piercings, shame on you. Let them know. We're here to help everyone, and the more people we have, the more all of us can be educated. So, but I love all you guys so much. All right, and we're going to move on to Bade Saba 3. That's how I'm going to say that one. I apologize if I get anything wrong. What do I think about nasolangs? Is it really that bad? Do you do them yourself? I personally don't do nasolang piercings. Kelsey has done a couple in my shop. I don't know. I'm more of a bread and butter piercing. I will do some of the more extreme piercings to a certain degree. Now, the nasolang piercing, yeah, it's pretty gnarly. That's the easiest word I can say there, because you're not going through the septum piercing. Generally, you're going through all that thick cartilage on top. And generally, it's high up enough where you just, you know, you clamp it and you pierce it. And it's a lot of tissue. It's a rough heal. Yeah, they're cool. I personally don't do them, but if you want to get them done, we do perform them in our shop. And Bin Anam, is every irritation pump going to go away completely if the source of irritation is removed and the piercing can be healed properly now? Yes and no. When you get a piercing, if you get a piercing bump, you got to kind of treat it right away. If you leave it in there and say leave it in for a couple of years, that scar tissue is really established and it's difficult to get rid of. It is possible to get rid of, like Mederma, any sort of scar tissue remover. Sometimes you can even go to doctors and they can help you out with like cortisone creams and things like that. I'm not sure exactly what they would do for you, but most of the time it can be removed. And sometimes you even get these little divots of where the piercing used to be. And I know that there's procedures and people who can even remove some of those divots and make the skin look almost back to normal again. I don't know anyone personally who's done this, but I've heard of it. So, and Haley, come here. Hey, here's a question. I've suffered from 2 blowouts in my left ear. There's not a lot of elasticity anymore. Is there something I can do to fix that? I'm curious at what size you're actually at, Haley. There's something called a relief cut. A lot of states, this is technically illegal because you're using a scalpel and it's a small cut. But a lot of people, when they get up to around an inch, the elasticity, you're right, kind of stops. And basically what happens is you do a small little incision up this way, and that skin opens up and it gives you a bunch of fresh new tissue. And right now, when you get fully stretched, your ears kind of lay out like this, so they're kind of flat. Once you get the relief cut, a lot of times they sit more flat back against your face. So it can work, but you got to find a body modification artist to really do that. And like I said, most states, this is probably illegal in, but most extreme body mods are technically illegal too. So that's kind of the situation. I can't stress it enough. Keep massaging your tissue, keep the circulation going in there, and that can actually help kind of allow the stretching to go a little bit further. If you go nice and slow, the tissue does regenerate. That's why people are able to stretch really, really big. They don't start with that much tissue right away. All right. And let's mark my spots so I don't get lost. That happens too often. Camille, what about a curved barbell? Okay, Camille, the question was, got to go back up because I don't remember which one that was. Where was that question? There we go. Oh, absolutely. Surface bars do not work on, curved barbells do not work on surface piercings whatsoever. Once in a blue moon, someone will heal them up, and that gives us all hope for it. But I mean, it's probably like 1 or 2% chance you could heal it. The only area I've seen a curved barbell heal in a surface piercing is going to be anti-eyebrows or up above on like a horizontal eyebrow piercing. So no curved barbells. Get a surface bar or the dermal anchor. Those are your only and best options. And Wolf. Nope, we already did that one. And Dragon X-Ray. DRGN. Yeah, Dragon X-Ray. Hi from Illinois. Quick question. I have dentures. Are oral piercings okay with them? Kind of a tough question. It kind of depends. Yeah, I mean, I think you should be okay. It kind of depends on what piercings you actually want, where the jewelry rests. Like if you're looking at a lip piercing and your dentures come down, I don't have dentures, so I don't know how they rest against the gums if it would get caught there. That would be my only concern. I'm going to look into that one. That's a really good, I don't know if I've ever been asked that question. That's kind of weird. I know retainers can cause problems. You know, after you've had, braces and whatnot, and you put retainers on, that can cause an issue. But dentures, I'd guess, would probably fit better. So you should be okay. The nice thing about dentures is if you crack your teeth, you can just buy new ones a lot easier than having your teeth fixed and repaired. So, yeah. And also dentures might help protect your gum. Well, you don't have to worry about the gum erosion then either because the teeth won't fall. Yeah, it's probably easier. But depends on the placement in the actual piercing. Zulima is here. No curved barbell shouldn't be used as a surface piercing at all. I agree. People do it. It's not right. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should. That's kind of one of those things. Corey Chrysler. Hi, Scott. I just got my vertical industrial, conch to conch. Awesome. And I was wondering, how long should I wait before downsizing? Oh, boy. Until you need to. If it's a problem, if it's an issue, and it's you need to downsize. I would say probably about a month and a half or 2 months before you downsize because it's going to fluctuate a little bit. If you downsize too soon, it can actually pinch on there. But yeah, if you have too much bar, talk to your piercer. But I'd say about a month and a half or 2 months. And hey, it's Piercing Vegas, my shop. They're checking in to say hi. Nova and Kelsey are working today, and they're just checking in from the shop saying, so get back to work. Just kidding. You guys are great. Love you guys. When I talked to Nova earlier, he also said to say hi to everyone. So hi from Nova. And if you don't know who Nova is, a couple episodes ago on our live chat, Nova came in. He's my new... Well, he'll eventually probably start piercing again, but he also he's my jewelry manager, does all the jewelry ordering, keeps stuff in stock for us. Nova's the man. All right. And Corey Chrysler's from New York. We're out on the West Coast here. I'm from Las Vegas. Welcome in. And we got Devin G. Hi, listening from rural Kentucky. Awesome. And, I'm going to have a tough time with this one. Arinya? Okay, we'll go Arinya. I apologize for these name pronunciations. So how should I apply emu oil to my nostril piercing? How much should I use? All right, you don't need much at all. First of all, start off by washing your hands real thoroughly, and then you want to take a small dab just on your finger, just barely a drop, and you want to apply it with your finger, okay? You can also do it on the inside as well, but don't use any Q-tips, cotton balls. The cotton fibers can actually stick to your jewelry. And if I've noticed when you put it into a cotton swab, it just absorbs in and it doesn't really come out. So you really kind of want to get it to sit on there. You don't have to wipe it off. It's just a little oil. Let it sit on there. In a couple days, it should start feeling and looking better. And moving on to Will Jones. What's up, Will? I just lost my spot again. Hey, Scott, I recently decided to retire almost all of my... recently decided to retire almost all my piercings because they weren't fitting the life I'm living. But I had to keep a few, so I know. So people still know I'm cool. Will, you're awesome. Sometimes you have to retire piercings. Piercings are a timing situation. Not every piercing is going to work out for that time of life. If you have a job where you're around chemicals and all that stuff, you might not want to stay away from, like nipple piercings, navel, genital, that stuff that's covered are going to work better for you. If you're wearing a helmet because you have to ride a bicycle every day, or, that's going to cause problems on cartilage piercings, If you have an operation coming up or a series of MRIs, don't get a fresh piercing because they're going to make you take them out. So life is about timing and, you'll get back to it. I've retired so many piercings and got them redone again in the future and then retired them again and brought back. That's the joy of piercing. You can just keep going. All right. And Will, you're cool. Savannah, can you pierce a body part too often? Ooh, just what I was just saying. Like after getting it done a lot of times. I've had my eyebrow done maybe about 6 to 10 times on each side. I've kind of lost track, to be honest with you. Scar tissue is totally fine to pierce through, but the more you pierce, the more you can kind of build it up and it might become more and more visible. Now, if you had an eyebrow piercing and it rejected all the way out, it's more prone to rejecting again. But if it's just like an old scar and you took it out for no reason, you're probably totally fine to get it re-pierced. There's Mederma scar tissue removers. Generally, if you massage and break down that scar tissue, it makes it easier the second time around. So yeah, try to get rid of as much of that scar tissue before you get it re-pierced. But too many times, there's probably a number. I haven't found it yet. And moving on to Wolf. Oh, cool. I hope soon I can convince my mom to get it. Well, good luck to you. Yeah, I was never successful at that. I had to wait till I was 18 to get any piercings. But that was a long time ago. Times have changed, so you never know. But good luck to you. Leah. Hi, Scott. I got my rook pierced 2 weeks ago. It's been swollen for 3 days now. What should I do? Well, that's normal. Totally normal. A lot of times rook piercings or cartilage piercings can stay swollen for weeks to months. I found that rooks are typically swollen most of the healing process. I tell people once, if you took a camera phone, a picture on both sides of your ear, the pierced and non-pierced side, once the swelling's gone down and is back to normal size, you're fully healed. But I would say expect probably 4 months to about a year to heal. So be nice to your piercing so it's closer to the 4 months. Coffee time. So yeah, so glad everyone's here. Like I said, if you haven't hit that like and subscribe, definitely do that. And if you need your question, go right to the top. We do those super chats. That's the word I'm looking for. If you do a super chat, I will get you right away. Otherwise, I'm trying to go in order. I'm trying to hit everyone. If I miss someone, please let me know. I'm pretty much solo here by myself, and I'm doing my best to get through every single one of these. And we will be doing this for probably about 2 hours today. Or as long as we need to, actually. And Darshani, not the whole bump, just around the piercing. Yes, okay. So we were talking about tongue piercings. Sometimes that fistula is a tube of scar tissue. If you push on your tongue, let me see if I can get a better... If you do that, you can sometimes push that tube of scar tissue out, and that's probably what you're seeing. Sometimes that tube of scar tissue kind of follows the bar, and you have a little one extending out. It's absolutely nothing to worry about. It should go down with time. I've never really seen those stick around long term. Cool. Glad we got back to you on that one. Because the way you're wording, I thought you were saying the whole bottom of your tongue is white. I'm like, I don't know what that is. Yeah, I'd be concerned too. But yeah, just that white little bump, no big deal. And don't pick at it. You'll just keep making it bigger and bigger. And good. I'm glad you did downsize. Just give it some time. You're still in the healing process. Savannah says, I had my helix for 6 months now, and sometimes there's a bit of white, light yellowish pus coming out of it when I clean it. Is this normal? Yes. Nothing to worry about there. It's generally the darker yellow, greenish, grayish color is when you have more of a sign of an infection. When we do the piercing, you're basically killing a lot of tissue on the inside, so a lot of that is dead skin cells kind of being pushed out. It's still slightly an open wound, so it's like the plasma and lymph fluids are mixing with that, and that's what you're seeing. So that is normal, but like I said, if it's really sore, super swollen, you have a ton of pus coming out of there, that's more of a sign of infection. And like I said, it's going to be definitely a darker, thicker, nastier pus. So yeah, you're good. All right, and Zilagi. Oh, I'm gonna go by your last name, Zoltan. I started to stretch my labret. Now it's 4 millimeters. How should I continue, and how should I take care of it? Does this process similar to an earlobe stretching? The thing is sometimes labrets are a little more dense than an earlobe tissue. The earlobe is an easier stretch than the lip, so you might just need a little bit more time in between. Just nice gradual stretches. If you need to, do half sizes. There's a lot of glass jewelry. I know Gorilla Glass makes a lot of cool stuff. I also know they make glass labrets, which are amazing for this piercing. And it said 4 millimeter, which is, I got to get my little chart out here. Wow, that's pretty good. You're just a little above 00, it looks like. So I think I'd read that. No, I didn't. No, I didn't read that right. I'm crazy. So 5:30 seconds, 9:30 seconds. Yeah, just try to do a 0.5 millimeter to 1 millimeter max jump each time is all you're going to want to do. So congratulations on stretching your lip. That's pretty rad. Just be careful. Watch the inside of your gums, because sometimes that can cause more gum erosion. There's no real fix in that, and that's something we don't want to deal with. Zulama Zahir. Scott, do you have any advice or tips for finding someone to do my first biopsy punch? No one lists them on their sites, so I assume I just need to call around. Legal where I live, of course. Yes. I'm not sure how you would find someone to do biopsy punches like that. A biopsy is basically a razor blade in the shape of a circle, and that removes the tissue. Piercings don't remove tissue. That's why it's illegal in a lot of places. If you find an older, more modified piercer, they're more likely to do that. I can almost guarantee you that if you start calling on the phone, they're probably not going to answer that because they could get in trouble. Excuse me. So going in person, show them that hopefully you have some mods. I wouldn't recommend getting this for a first piercing. But yeah, that's going to be the best bet, is go in and try to find a piercing-only studio. There's a better chance there. And if you go in there and the piercer only has like an eyebrow piercing and nothing else, pretty slim chance that they're probably going to do something like that. Generally, people who do those things are very heavily modded. So I hope that helps. All right. Camille, thank you. You are very welcome. Thank you for being here and asking your question. Ursula's Odds and Sods. Is it a coincidence or directly related that my second lobe piercings are crankier as they get closer to my stretched lobes? I keep going back and forth on retiring them since I've had them so long. It's a tough situation. It does happen. The bigger you stretch, the closer those piercings, and eventually they will kind of disappear and migrate into there. If they're that close and the jewelry's pressing up against it, it's going to just stay irritated all the time, and it might be worth retiring them. Just get it pierced again, a little higher up, so you have a lot more time before you. It depends on how big you want to go, too. So, but yeah, it does happen. It's not a coincidence. It's directly related. Yep. And Zulima Zahir, what a great question about the dentures. I unfortunately have them as well. Yeah, I really don't know. I'm going to have to do some more research on that one. I think it should be easier. I can't imagine it would get in the way unless it would get caught on how the dentures attach on the bottom. Like labrets, like lower labrets might be an issue, but I don't see like a tongue piercing, vertical labret, medusa really causing problems. But it's possible. And Ursula's Odds and Sods. If I do retire if I do have to retire my second lobe piercing, I'll be able to stretch it to a bigger size, so it won't be the worst thing in the world. Exactly. That's the thing. Is once we start stretching, it's hard to stop. It's such an awesome thing to be able to stretch your piercings. I lost 1 or 2 of my piercings that kind of migrated into mine once I got up to like that 2.5 inches. So it's kind of a fun thing to watch. And when the piercing starts merging into the large stretch lobe, you're going to start seeing it turning into a line, and then you just got this little tiny skin tag hanging on, and then eventually it just disappears. So it's pretty neat. And Idalia, I have had a hard time healing cartilage piercings in the past. I want nipple piercings, but I'm worried about rejection. What are your thoughts? Well, cartilage piercings are definitely more difficult to heal than a nipple piercing. Number 2, nipple piercings take a long time, but they're generally not too problematic. The issue with the nipple piercing is crusties last way longer than probably any other piercing. So I tell people expect probably 1 year to 2 years before the crusties completely stop. Now, as far as rejection goes, that has to do with your anatomy. Now, if you have a nipple that actually protrudes and sticks out a little bit, then you should be totally fine. But if the nipple is completely flat and flush against the breast, then it's going to be an issue, and there's a higher chance for rejection. So, that's my 2 cents on there. Any piercing, any nipple piercing can reject because a lot of times they get hit, bumped real hard, and there's a lot of nipple play that can cause it to actually reject out. But yeah, like I said, if you have enough tissue there, you should be totally fine. And Ponsasomi, that's what I'm going to say. Can you grow a mustache if you have angel bites? Yes. You kind of have to. I mean, if you have angel bites here, the mustache, how are you going to shave around it? There's going to be little hairs. It's really, really difficult to actually shave. Now, if you want a mustache, I like to do them higher up. I used to have some that were just on the top of the mustache, little mustache riders up there. And I plan on doing them again. They're pretty cool up there. But yeah, shaving around a piercing can be kind of difficult and complicated. Sometimes you need to get little clippers and just kind of get in there and kind of do your work. But yeah, if you place it above the actual mustache, it looks cool and works really well. I don't know why I'm yawning so much. Get some water in me too on top of coffee. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I'm going to show this off. You guys can't see it, but there's a little engraving here. This is an APP cup from 2004. So this cup is old. I went to an APP conference, Association of Professional Piercers, in 2004, and they were giving cups away. Now this thing's thin. I can't imagine there's probably a lot of these things left. So this is kind of a memorial cup for me. Makes my water taste so much better coming from an APP cup. Ridiculous, I know. All right. And Charlotte, I had my rook pierced a few weeks ago. I noticed on the underside there's skin around the bar, almost like the needle pulled the skin through. Is that normal? Yeah, that's just hypertrophic scarring. Sometimes it's just going to kind of follow a little tiny bit. Once it's healed, it should go right back up in there. Nothing to worry about. But just don't pick at it. Will Jones, Scott, last time I was here, I asked you about cartilage piercings with motorbike helmets. I did some testing and found out that with a full head helmet, you can have them, but it's very hard to heal them. It is very, very difficult. Again, I don't wear any helmets, so I'm not sure. I have customers who wear helmets and I've healed them up, but there's generally some issues here and there. All it takes is just one good bump or something like that, or you put it on the wrong way or it twists and you can start having irritations. So thank you. Yes, helmets are tough. I do suggest trying to stay away from them if you have those intense piercings, unless you already have fully healed piercings. Then you just want to have a nice snug piece of jewelry, nice and tight on there. So thank you for that, Will. And Pirelli 913, I got my eyebrow pierced in 2016, but after a year it didn't seem like it healed. No crusties, but like pus, so I took it out. Is that normal? Want to get it pierced again because I liked it. Again, this is one of those situations where if it's getting bumped, hit, if you're sleeping on it, hair products getting in there, something was irritating, because generally these heal. If it didn't reject out within that time frame, something else was upsetting it. I know sometimes people's anatomy, like you can almost feel like the skull right there, like people have this ridge and you have to pull the skin away from the bone to make it work. That's probably why it stayed irritated if you have that anatomy. But if you're like me, I mean, Like, I got so much tissue, it's ridiculous. I can fit like 100 in there. Lucky. Maybe I should do some more eyebrow piercings. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, go for it again. Maybe try different placement. I don't know where it was, if it was the inner, outer, maybe try the other side if that's the side you sleep on. Like I said, there's a lot of factors, but you should be able to heal it up. And then the other thing is sometimes you might have an allergy. So if you had got pierced with a steel barbell, maybe try titanium. Seek out titanium. They work way better. And I know a lot of people love gold and they think gold is the best. Gold is pretty beautiful. I love the look of gold, but honestly, like when I had my eyebrows pierced, they were pierced with there we go. They were pierced with solid gold barbells, and they wouldn't heal until I put titanium bars in there. Then they healed immediately up. Then I switched back to the gold barbells because they're fully established, and it worked really, really well. So yeah, titanium is the answer in my opinion. So, all right, Savannah, when can you change a nose stud to a different nose stud? When it's healed up enough. I know, crappy answer. Generally, I would suggest waiting about 2 months. It does take minimum 6 to 8 weeks for these things to heal up. Sometimes I do see them take months and months and months. Again, lifestyle. If you have redness, irritation, soreness, it will cause problems to change it up, unless it's the jewelry which is causing the problem. But best thing to do, just leave it be till it heals. And GKNXXP. I'm not going to try to pronounce that. I don't even know what that would be. My labret piercing keeps swelling when I put the downsized bar. Should I keep having to go back to the original bar or leave the original bar in longer and let it heal more first? It depends on how old your piercing is. When you put a shorter bar in there, sometimes it's going to swell and get a little irritated. You want that disc to go into your lip a little tiny bit. That's called nesting. And that will pull it away from your teeth and your gums. Now, there are a lot of piercers out there who order from companies who only have specific sizes. There's a lot of sizes. Now, I don't know if you can see this little tag thing here. These are a list of all the different sizes here. I mean, like, listen to this. Some of these don't even make sense. So 5/30 seconds, 3/16, 7/30 seconds, quarter inch, 9/30 seconds, 11/30 seconds, 13/30 seconds. This jewelry does exist, and a lot of these are in between sizes for what you have. So if you got pierced maybe a 3/8 of an inch and you wanted to downsize, you went down to a 5/16, maybe you need to find that in between one, maybe get that 11/30 seconds, and that might be just the perfect size for you. So finding the right size jewelry, because like I said, there's more than 2 sizes for a lip piercing, for sure. And again, if you're downsizing after maybe a couple weeks, it's just not soon enough. Give it some more time. But you definitely want to downsize so you don't bite down and do damage to your teeth or your gums. Haley, come here. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us today. What is the best way to remove a threadless stud? Pull. Okay, it depends on where it is. Now, if you have a nostril piercing, you almost need to get up on the inside of your nose and hold the disc and be able to separate it, which is really difficult. I know my fingers are huge and there's no way they fit. I know one finger fits up my nose, but I can't get multiple. Now, if you can't do that, you're going to have to go to a piercer and they can change it out for you. Now, if it's an ear piercing or a nipple piercing, see if I can explain this right. Now, when you're holding onto the beads, okay, I like to use the knuckles of my thumbs as leverage so you can kind of do this. See what I'm saying? How they're always touching, and you're going to get better leverage and you're not going to, re-stab yourself, which is a real common thing. So you just don't feel secure this way. But if your knuckles are touching, it's going to work way better for you. But try not to use tools if you can help it. There are specific tools for it called a neo-metal tool. I know Industrial Strength LLC, or Industrial Strength Needles LLC makes these things, and I sell them in my shop. They're amazing. The little clamps, they go in there and hold it, and they shouldn't scratch the jewelry, and it allows you to get those things out. Now, the other thing is some people put those threadless jewelry in so tight, so, and you have to put some pressure on there. And then the last thing is, make sure it's threadless jewelry. I can't tell you how many times people said, I have threadless jewelry, I can't get out. And I'm pulling and I can't figure it out. And come to find out, you unthread it. It might be threaded jewelry. It's gotten me too many times. And it's just like, man, why didn't I try that first? But yeah, that's my best advice is use your thumb knuckles. Thumb knuckles, and you should be able to kind of pull it apart that way. Good luck to you. Simone Gar. How long do floating navels take to heal? Had mine 5 months, no problems with the healing, just very slight discoloration on the bottom. Okay. Sometimes you get a little bit of extra scarring, a little discoloration. I'm curious, do you have a disc or do you have a bead on the bottom? Because if you have a disc, that's what kind of keeps it the most hidden. But if it's pressing up against there or it's distorting the tissue, because the disc can put a sharp edge, that's going to keep it irritated. And maybe you need a smaller disc. Maybe you need to change to a bead. Maybe you need a longer bar. I don't quite know. But slight discoloration on the bottom. You shouldn't really even be able to tell unless you're kind of really pulling up hard. But I bet if you had your camera phone and you without pulling up on your belly at all, and you took a picture, that discoloration is probably not there. If you have old scars and you kind of stretch your skin out, you can kind of see that scar tissue kind of pop back out. So that's my guess on that one. But patience, sometimes they do take up to a full year to heal. Lifestyle, the clothes you're wearing, there's a lot of factors. And great question, by the way. And CTS Diva, I got my conch done 1 month ago and it's been going great. Love that. I know I have to wait for a ring, but do you think by 6 months I can change it to a ring? There's a good chance. You say it's healing really well, doing good. 6 months should be okay. Generally, I tell people 4 months to a year for a conch to fully heal. Now, if there's a little bit of tenderness, a little bit of irritation, keep in mind that ring is going to be twisting. You sleep on, it's going to press, and it's going to be quickly irritated. So that's why I want it to be fully healed before you put that ring in there. And the thing is 6 months, if it seems fully healed, you put the ring in there and it just stays sore for a couple days or a week after, just go back to the stud for a little bit longer. Then just try it again another month from that point. You'll eventually get there. But listen to your body. If it's sore, irritated, crusties, wait a little bit longer. Fiber Scholar. Hey Scott, love your videos. I just got a PA and they put in an 8-gauge captive bead. Good. Sometimes the ball goes into my urethra and it hurts. Do you have any recommendations for jewelry? Yes. When we order jewelry like this, we can order them with bigger or smaller beads. So personally, I like circular barbells as opposed to a captive bead ring. Circular barbells where you kind of unthread the bead. The beads kind of add a little bit more weight, so it keeps the ring down. So the beads don't get pulled in as much. Now, the other thing you can do is you can also get steel beads wearing on a titanium circular barbell. So once you make that bead heavier, natural gravity is going to pull it down and pull it out of the urethra. Now, the other option is like I said, order a captive bead ring with a larger bead instead of that. It is really, really uncomfortable. That's why I like to do larger beads. People always want, I want something smaller, but it looks like you kind of can't. It just doesn't work. It's really uncomfortable. VCH, vertical clitoral hoods, have the same issue where if you put too small of a bead, the bead gets pulled underneath that hood and it can be fairly uncomfortable. So yeah, finding the right size jewelry or the appropriate jewelry, and that works really, really well. Let's see, I love you. Just got a PA. Yeah, just do your best. Once you get healed up, these heal up super, super quick. Find some different jewelry, whether it's a curved barbell, circular barbell, or a captive bead ring where it has a heavier bead or a larger bead on there as opposed to the ring. Good question. It just amazes me. You guys always come up with questions. It's like, if you go through all these live chats, there's some repetitive questions here and there, but there's already so many new ones on a regular basis. And I thought I was just going to be talking about nostril bumps for my entire career on YouTube, but thanks for keeping this so interesting. And you know what? The more interesting the question, the more we learn and the more we can apply it to other piercings. So yeah, you guys are awesome. Cheers to you guys. Schmello. SHMLO. Schmello. Yeah. I just lost my spot again. Okay, I got to go faster. I'm getting behind here. Hi, first year piercer here. I have a client that pierced her own septum at a 14 gauge, says it was fully healed and stretched to a 12 herself Sunday, but now it's oozing a ton of pus and is really, really sore. Okay. I'm reading this again here. Fully healed and stretched to a 12 herself on Sunday. Just patience, it could be a reaction to the metal. If she has steel jewelry in there or something that has it's real porous or sticking, it's going to cause irritation. The stretch for a septum should not have hurt. Depends what she says fully healed was. You know, some people are like, oh, it's fully healed in a week and I stretched it. That's your problem. It should be probably like 2 to 3 months minimum before you start stretching. And once you stretch with a septum, it should just almost fall in themselves. If it's not getting better, I'm obviously use some sort of a wound wash spray. Reach. You know, like Neilmed, there's Steri-Wash, I got one back there. There's also, keep turning away from the microphone, H2 Ocean. All these things can help a ton. So just make sure you keep it clean, keep the crusties off there, and generally this only lasts a couple days. If it stays that bad, downsize, go back. That's the best advice I can give to you. And thanks for letting me know you're a piercer. If you guys are a piercer here, don't hide in the shadows. Let us know who you are, because there might be other people in your town where we can send them to you. So yeah, this is a community for piercers and for piercees, or anyone who just loves piercing or hanging out. All right, Savannah, when to worry about the cheese cutter effect. I read anything down to a 20 gauge is nothing to worry about. I kind of disagree. I prefer 18 gauge and up. I'm not a big fan of the 20 gauge. A lot of people like the 20 gauge ring for the nostril, but I do see that it's easily torn and there seems to be more bumps, in my opinion, on the 20 gauge than the 18. That's why I like the 18. And the thing is the cheese cutter effect, it depends on what piercing we're talking about. If you're talking about earlobe piercing, a lot of those older women from back in the 60s, 70s who have the big slits in their ears and whatnot are from wearing real heavy earrings. And I can guarantee you that it was probably maybe a 22 or 20 gauge that they're wearing. But it's proportioned to the thickness of the metal to the amount of weight on there or how tight the jewelry is. So, when to worry about the cheese cutter? Yeah, just the proper jewelry and nothing too heavy and everything should be good. And if you're wearing titanium is so lightweight, you probably won't have any problems. So, cool. All right, Schmello. Also, yes, I told her the piercing herself is a no-no. Absolutely. One thing I like to do with these clients is like once they're in the room, or like, hey, I want to show you something. Like, do you have one of these? And point your autoclave. And then they're like, well, no. And I'm like, that's a steam sterilizer, and these cost several $1,000s to start, even used, you know, and this is the only way that the Board of Health will allow us to do piercings. It's hospital sterilization. Otherwise, if you're really into bloodborne pathogens and all those different diseases, go for it, because that's what's eventually going to happen. You know, the people like, oh, I can do it. I got it straight. I got it in the right spot. That's the last of my concerns. You know, if you do a straight piercing and you end up getting hepatitis for the rest of your life, that sucks. And, you know, it's like educating the public so they know the danger so it doesn't happen. I also like to tell people, like, oh, if you're doing home piercings, it's like having unprotected sex with a stranger. It's a risk. You could get diseases. It's really the same types of diseases. Hepatitis can live weeks without a host, you know. It's like you got to put a little bit of scare and make them understand the actual dangers. I think, like I said, most people think that it's like, oh, I got it crooked, or I won't get the right spot, or it's just going to hurt more if I do it myself. Like I said, those are concerns, but they're the last of the concerns. Awesome. Thanks, Schmello. And Nobody76, how do you clean your nose chain? Water picks are the easiest. You know, in the shower, I just kind of like soap and water over as I clean my face. And I've never really had to scrub because my piercings are fully healed and I don't have crusties on there. But if you have crusties, I mean, I suppose even like Neilmed wound wash spray here, you can spray it and the direct pressure should break stuff off there, and you should be able to kind of wipe it off with a microfiber towel. Slow my speaking down. Yeah, so that's the best thing. And then the other thing is like when it gets to the point where it starts oxidizing or starts discoloring, then you're going to want to actually take the whole chain off, and then you can get some sort of a jewelry cleaner, a jewelry polishing cloth, and it'll bring that luster right back and bring it back to normal. Every person's different, depends on the chain style you're wearing, and if it's a brand new piercing and you have crusties, I don't suggest getting pierced with chains until the crusties are done. So, good question. Punk Strummer 101 RS. I'm so relieved to hear that rooks can be swollen for a long time. I got mine done 6 months ago, and now it's just starting to look like the other ear. I have no pain or issues with it at all. I don't know why other piercers don't say this to people, but yeah, like cartilage piercings are going to stay swollen a long time. And like I said, use your camera phone. We all have one. Take a picture of the pierced side, the non-pierced side, or the healed side, non-healed, and compare the two of them. They're roughly the same size. They're not the exact same shape, but they should be close to the same size. And that's kind of the biggest thing is this, once the swelling's gone down, that's normal. But yeah, you're very welcome. It's concerning when it's like, man, it's supposed to be healed by now, and it's still like 3 times the size. But yeah, that's totally normal. CT. Hi, Scott. Glad to catch another live stream. Yeah, glad you're here. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully I'll be able to see you next month and get a birthday piercing. That is super cool. I love birthday piercings. You know what? That brings up another subject I want to talk about, which is rite of passage. I brought this up earlier this week, and it's just a lot of times we need to mark points and times of our life, and that's from one stage to the next. And whether sometimes you have a birthday and it's a celebration, you got to mark that point. You know, that's why people always get stuff done or party on their birthdays. It's kind of a ceremony. Some people, if you have a new boyfriend, new girlfriend, a new job, a new apartment, you're moving, all these things are factors. And sometimes we just have that natural instinct to do these things. So it's really fun, you know, celebrating another year, get another piercing. It's pretty awesome. And happy early birthday, and I hope I get to pierce you. Charlotte, are you a bit tired today, Scott? Notice you keep yawning. Get some coffee down you, man. You're right. The coffee is still full. I need to get some more in here. Yeah, I know they're so contagious too. I'm sorry. That one was for you. Thank you. Yeah, I have been a lot more tired lately. I've been working my butt off. My shop's been super busy. I'm trying to get a new piercer in there, and hopefully he's going to be able to start fairly soon, which will take a little bit more weight off my shoulders, allow me more time to do the YouTube thing. I apologize for not really getting stuff out here recently. I do plan on doing more. I have stuff set up. I'm working and going back in the shop trying to get the live piercing thing set up more today. It's a lot of work. And I know a little bit about technology and electronics, but I don't know that much. So it's really overwhelming, and that's why I haven't put out much stuff. Yeah, and then I get up super early to kind of get the room ready and figure all the stuff out. So I get up earlier than normal to do these live chats just to have things ready by noon. It's crazy. Of course, I have to get up early enough so I can go buy my coffee. I should just make it home, but Dutch Brothers is so good. It's so good. All right. And Ponsasumi. I hope I'm saying that right. It's a fun one to say though. How likely are angel bite fangs to reject? I think I have a pouty enough lip, but I'm worried about that. It's my dream piercing. If it's done shallow, it's going to reject. And the thing is you can angle them back in a little bit more. You just might not be able to wear as big of spikes, but I haven't seen any reject out. They're a newer piercing that's becoming more and more popular the last couple of years. And I haven't seen any reject out yet. So it should be good, but at the same time, I don't really see other people's, and I know I make sure I pierce mine deep enough. So just go to a good quality piercer. And Will Jones. When your lobe piercings migrated into your stretch, did you feel them break when you stretch it? You just look one day and it was gone. I pretty much looked in one day and it was gone. There's little 2 tiny tags. You know, I bet they broke when I was putting jewelry in, because back then I had 2.5-inch earlobes and I wouldn't stretch with my jewelry in. So I would kind of pop it in each day so it kind of re-stretched and kept it tight. Otherwise they would just kind of fall out and be too loose. So it probably happened when I did it, but I didn't notice it. And a lot of times I put that jewelry in the shower too, so there's water, and yeah, it didn't hurt. And I just looked and it was just loose. You know, like when you have dead skin on your fingers and you can kind of pick it off and it doesn't really hurt. That's pretty much what it was. There was no real nerve endings in there anymore. It was just basically a small little skin tag. And Ponsasumi. There we go. Thanks. You are very welcome. Thank you for being here. And Gino MJ, do Prince Albert piercings affect how comfortable you can pee, or does that make peeing messy? Yes, it can. I had my PA done, and I don't know why, but I was never really able to stand up and urinate normally again because it either followed the ring, but hopefully not too much information, but about 2/3 went out front into the toilet and about 1/3 went on my left leg. That's the truth. But my piercing was done a little bit shallow. It was done by an apprentice. Me and him were apprenticing at the same time. Long story, it wasn't done perfect, but that was my issue. Some people can turn the penis upside down, and that way the Jewy doesn't follow the ring or the thing on top. But it does make it more complicated, and there's no guarantee that everything will be back to normal again. Now, the other thing about PAs is a lot of people will stretch their piercing up. Once you get to a certain point, a lot of times they don't close, and you're going to have a small drip on the bottom. So it's kind of a pain in the butt. It's probably my least favorite piercing for that reason. Frenum piercings, like the skin on the bottom, almost just as effective for any sort of sexual enhancement, things like that. It heals faster, and it doesn't have any problem with the urination. Now, you also have ampelangs and epidravias, vertical or horizontal through the head. Generally, those go through the urethra as well, but there's enough tissue in the bars long enough where it doesn't affect that. It's just the PAs. Yeah, that's my least favorite general piercing for that reason alone. Zulema Zahir, thanks so much for the answer, Scott. I definitely need to check out your biopsy punch story sometime video. Yes, absolutely. Granted, that was more of a horror story for me. The piercing itself was really, really easy, but this was done in 1993 or 94. I think 93. We went through about 6 veins. It was a bloody mess. Normally, we don't go through veins, but we didn't know what we were doing back then. So, took one for the team. Fetza. Okay. Greetings from Australia. Wow, from Australia. I got my nostril pierced 3 weeks ago, healing well so far. Good. And I will be getting a septum and a doth pierced in a week. When do I know when I can go swimming again? Now, generally, I tell people a minimum of a month. Now, if you're in Australia, I'd be nervous about the ocean and things like that. Like, dirtier bodies of water, like pools and hot tubs, the chemicals can cause irritation, but I've seen people get like nasty staph infections from lakes, rivers, or oceans. So you got to be careful. Make sure your piercing's healed enough. I say a minimum of a month. And then if you're nervous about it, let's see, what piercings? It was nostril 3 weeks ago. And we get septum and doth pierce. Yeah, you at least keep your head above water for probably the next month to month and a half or so after to kind of prevent any infections or problems. And I know that APP Australia is going on right now. I'm not sure what the initials are. I think it's APPA or something like that. But I know a lot of my friends from America are out there teaching, and there's a lot of jewelry companies. So yeah, if you're in Australia right now, you're probably having a tough time finding a good quality piercer because they're all in the classes. So pretty cool. I would love to start going to see some of those big conferences in other countries. That would be really, really cool. But yeah, month and a half, 2 months would be, to be safe, month at the minimum. Chris R., can I get a septum pierced right after getting my nose pierced? Yeah. As long as you're not healing too many piercings, it's not a problem. Hopefully you got a stud in your nostril, not a ring. Yeah, I like to go in that order, nostril, then septum, because the thing is the septum is going to be moved around to try to get to the piercing. But if you have a nostril piercing, we can probably do the piercing without touching or affecting the nostril, if that makes any sense. So yeah, pretty much any time. Will Jones, Scott, I saw recently that an APP conference, might be the UK one, and all the members there got jewelry with the logo on it. That's really rad. I did not know that. I want something like that. You know, that's something I was thinking about too. I mean, I've never came up with an idea yet, but I was thinking about getting some sort of a Piercing with Scott jewelry, you know, because I could have something made. There's companies who will make those things, but I don't know how to go about it. I don't know if I needed to have a bead, you know, with like maybe some sort of etched logo, or if there's a certain colored gem or an anodized combination, you know, where certain colors on the ring which represent the Piercing with Scott. But I always thought it'd be really cool to be able to create a piece of jewelry that said you're part of the Piercing with Scott community. You know what I'm saying? Like if you had an eyebrow ring, or like if you know, if you saw a red, or if you saw like a green and a yellow stripe, that basically means it's Piercing with Scott, you know, or the purple and blue or something. I don't even know. But yeah, if you guys get any ideas, let me know, because that'd be fun to make some jewelry that ties us all in together. You see someone with jewelry and go, you're awesome. All right. Nikki Jaycox. Hello. I'm a 50-year-old old mom, and I love to get a septum piercing. Should I? How do they heal? Yes, they heal nicely. There's no age restriction on piercing. Well, I mean, other than you got to be at least 18 without parental consent. But yeah, I pierced someone up in like 91 or 92. I did a double nostril piercing on them. So yeah, if you want to get it and it's something you want, go for it. There's no reason not to get it. And the thing about the septum piercing is they heal in probably about a month and a half, 2 months. You can flip them up inside your nose. They can be completely invisible, or you can show off super crazy ornate pieces of jewelry. It gives you all the options. It's an easy piercing to get, easy one to heal. I think you should do it. Don't you guys? All right. And Fates. Fatesa. Okay. Also, to further my question, any special aftercare cleansing instruction for after swimming? Thank you so much. I suggest, thank you so much. That is such an amazing question, because these small portable Neomeds or wound wash sprays are absolutely perfect. You know, even if your piercing's healed, it's not a bad idea to bring these and rinse off all those extra germs and stuff and so if you're done swimming for the day, you dry off, do a quick little spray, and to assure everything's a lot safer and cleaner, and you wipe away all those, let's be real, it's like fish poop or whatever might be in there. Yeah. All right. GG Fla. Cartilage piercings, no more for me. You know what? A lot of people give up on cartilage piercings. I even know piercers are like, I'm never getting those things again. It's a long commitment. It's a long heal. They can be problematic. But the thing is you got your ears, they look so good decorated. That's the issue. They're a rough heal, but they look so darn good. And it sounds like you've had some bad experiences, so I'm sorry to hear that. But you know what? There's always nostril piercings, eyebrow piercings, lip piercings, oral piercings, nipple, navel, genital. You're probably not done with piercings, just done in that area. And sometimes it just takes a couple years to go, you know what? I'm going to try that tragus again. Yeah. Emily Shea. Hi, is it normal for a transverse lobe piercing to bruise? Any piercing can really bruise. Now, bruising is basically when a capillary or a small vein or vein gets nicked. Okay, when you bleed under the skin, the blood is spreading, and that's what's gonna happen. If someone were to punch you in the eye, you're breaking the capillaries, and the blood's just kind of moving around, and that's what the bruising is. So yes, absolutely. Lobes are notorious for bruising. I've seen a lot of people, like they look in the front of their ear, looks totally normal. I'm not sure why, but most of the bruising on a normal lobe piercing is on the backside. And you know what? It always seems to happen with kids. I'm not sure why that is. Because moms always come in and say, is this normal? And it's like, yeah, that does happen. It's just a bruise, nothing to worry about. So, but yeah, bruising does happen. And transverse lobe. For those of you who don't know what a transverse lobe is, you got your earlobe here. I got the ears. I haven't shown these in a while. So, hopefully your ear's smaller than this. But instead of going straight into the ear, it's like straight into the ear and then out the back, you're going side to side the long way. So you're going to have a bead here and you're going to have a bead here connecting side to side. And with that much tissue, there's more of a chance of hitting a small capillary or a small vein, which would cause the bruising. Cool. All right, let's mark this and scroll up. Yeah, Zulimir Zahir says, Nikki, if you want one, you totally should. I agree. You know, don't let society and fears and things like that stop you from doing what you really want to do. Chantel Smith, is it better to get a dermal pierced with a needle or with a dermal punch? Oh, wow, that's a really, really good question. Now, I'm going to have to say needle because it's legal. Okay, now in Las Vegas, we're not allowed to get dermal anchors pierced at all, but biopsy punch or dermal punches are technically illegal because it's removing tissue, and removing tissue can be practicing medicine without a license. So that's kind of the factor there where a piercer can get into a lot of trouble. Now, in my opinion, a dermal punch is going to be much better for a dermal piercing because you're going to be able to core it straight down, and then you can almost see the different layers of skin to make sure you get it in the right depth or the right angle. Now, the other thing about needle piercings with dermals is it's so easy to create your own channel at a wrong angle. So if you're not an experienced piercer, it's really easy to not get it set right and cause it to reject out much, much faster. That's why I'm a bigger fan of the dermal punch, but I haven't done one in years because they're illegal, and I don't want to go to jail. I really don't. Or lose my license and my shop and everything that I've worked so hard for. That's one thing. You know, that I always wonder about that with other piercers who are just like, do things so illegal, and it's like, you're risking everything. You're risking your career. I just don't understand why people are willing to do that. It's the right way and the wrong way, and there's generally a reason why things are illegal. Dominique Blake. Hey, Scott, hope you're doing well. I am doing very well. Hope you're doing really good, too. Thank you. You and someone I know inspired me to get my bridge piercing. I love it. I was wondering if you could explain what lymph fluid is and how long to expect it. Thank you. Bridge piercings I've seen last sometimes up to a year, maybe even 2 years. If you can downsize to the exact right size jewelry, that will minimize a lot of those crusties much, much sooner. Now, I almost need paperwork in front of me. I've taken classes and stuff on this. It's not straight up lymph fluids. It's a mixture of sebum, dead skin cells. There's a couple things, if I remember. I don't have the exact answer for you. I'm really sorry. Lymph fluids is generally the generic term that we use because it gets real confusing with all the different chemicals and things that are coming outside the body. When you create a hole like that, the body's expelling it. It has many different processes going on. And, but yeah, I'd say expect anywhere from like 4 months to a year for a bridge piercing. I'm sorry I don't have a better answer for you. I will try to look into that and see if I can get you a better answer next week. Thanks, Dominique. All right, Idalia. Good to see you back. It's good to be back. I had to take a little mental health break. I just overworked myself, and the last couple of days off, I just chilled. I've been spending time in the cigar lounge, to be honest with you. You know, just sitting back with old timers and just relaxing, and I needed that. I did. So, but yeah, I'm back, and I'm trying to get a new team together here. I need to hire like an IT guy, someone who can help me with that kind of stuff. I need someone to help read questions. So if you're in Las Vegas and you are interested in maybe becoming part of the team, definitely hit me up. I mean, we'll work with you. I mean, you got to know a little bit about cameras and a little bit about technology and being able to help with these things. But yeah, so that's where I'm at. And it's good to be back. It really is. Senpai. Okay. Hi, Scott. I know a girl with an outie belly who got a navel piercing, and it helped her push her outie back in and never rejected. Is that rare? How likely is that to happen with other outies? Do not do this. This is extremely, extremely dangerous. Now, navel piercings are very anatomy dependent. You are not supposed to pierce the actual navel itself. It's the skin around. Now, your navel itself is your umbilicus, which is basically inner organs, right on the edge. That's how you were fed as a baby. So it's like the easiest access to your internal organs. Now, when you actually pierce this, you could send someone into septic shock, which is sending toxins through the body. And that's definitely a hospital trip, and it's very, very dangerous. Now, if you look it up online, I might have done a video on it called a true navel piercing, and it's just a bad idea. You'll see people do it, and I don't know. Don't do it. Don't do it. So, how likely does it happen to others without it? I've never heard of it pushing it back in. I don't know how that would. Wait. Okay. Let me rephrase this. So if she got a normal piercing with the skin on top, so the bead was pressing onto the belly button, pushing that in, that's, I think I looked at that wrong. Yeah, you don't pierce the actual belly button. So if they got to pierce that way and it pressed up against there, a lot of times it's really irritating and can kind of create a raw sore, like a scab on there permanently, constantly irritated. So odds aren't in the people's favor to push that outie back in. It's just not going to work, most likely. I would stay away from that. It's fun to think how piercings can help change or alter our bodies, but you shouldn't have to force things back that way if it really, I don't even know about belly buttons like that, if there's even a surgery to fix that. So, but no, try not to push anything directly on there. It's really uncomfortable. GG Flaw, I finally, used, okay. I finally used antiseptic, chlorhexidine. Okay, yep, and eye drops, CPO and dexamethasone. Thank you, got it healed. Cool. So there is a different aftercare spray with this acid in there called chlorodexine, and I can't remember the name of the product, but a lot of people love it. It's a little bit more to help with the aid of the piercing. I know Elaine Angel really liked it and kind of pushed for it. I used it a little bit at first. Now my problem with it was that a normal wound wash spray like this stays sterile because it's completely encapsulated inside here, but the other one is just kind of a pump. But at the same time, your piercing isn't sterile, so I mean, I don't know. I just liked this because it was cleaner. I haven't had a lot of experience with that, but I'm really glad to hear that it did work for you. You are very welcome. Sometimes when piercings aren't working up, you got to change things up. You know, if this isn't working for you and there's another product, yeah, try that. The chlorhexidine and eye drops. I'm not sure about the eye drops thing. Normally you're using saline, like you don't want to use the same eye drop saline. You want to get wound wash. That's what this is the salt water, basically, saline. So, but yeah, you're very, very welcome. I'm glad that worked for you. All right, Simone Gar, it's a disc. So I think we were talking about the floating navel. And a floating navel is kind of pierced more of an angle in, so you only see the top bead, and that's if you have a little deeper belly button. Now, if that disc is pressing up and that's where that soreness or redness or that discoloration is, maybe look for a smaller disc or change out to a bead for the time being, and that might help you out. The discoloration is only visible when I really pull up my skin. Yeah, just don't do that. Exactly. I think any piercing can do that. Like if I took my eyebrow piercing and I really pushed it out to kind of see the inside, you're going to see that scar tissue. It's called a fistula, that tube of scar tissue. And when you put pressure on there, you put pressure on any scar, it's either going to discolor or get really white. So that's totally normal. But yeah, if it's only when you pull your skin up, just leave it be. You're totally fine. Thank you for clarifying. I appreciate that. Oh, I'm not that far behind. And Emily Shea also got a helix piercing. I changed it to a ring, but I think it was too irritated from sleeping on it. I got a huge bump that was quite purple. I ended up taking it out, but the bump is still there. There again, go get some Mederma scar tissue remover, and that will completely pull that discoloration out, break down the scar tissue, and get you back to normal. But you said you took it out, and you can only use that stuff if you're closing your piercing up. So, all right, so we're about a little over an hour into this. We're going to go for about another hour here. So glad you guys are all hanging out here. I love having you here. And if you haven't already, hit the like and subscribe. Really appreciate that if you did that. And Jamgen, that's what we're going to go with. Jamgen. All right. Hey, Scott, I got a keloid from a cartilage piercing a long time ago because I didn't take care of it. If I take care of my piercings better, am I still at risk of keloids? All right. So first of all, we're going to address the term keloid. Keloid is a way overused term that generally isn't true. Most of the time, it's something called hypertrophic scarring. And us as piercers are not medical professionals. We're not doctors, so we can't diagnose. So that's why we just call everything a piercing bump or an irritation bump. Now, a keloid is a medical condition where if you got a cut on your arm, your body's going to create a huge bump on there, and that scar tissue continues to grow and grow and grow. It's not like you get keloids only on this piercing. Like you would have keloids on all your piercings if that was the medical condition you probably had. So it's probably not a keloid. It's just a piercing bump. Yeah, if you take care of it, there's less of a chance of that actual piercing bump happening. There's always a risk. I mean, all it takes is for a towel to catch on a piercing and yank on it, sleeping on one really hard one night, and it shows up. But a lot of times, once the irritation goes away, the bump goes away. And Emily Shea says, the bump isn't as big or irritated, if at all, but it's still there. What is it? It's a buildup of scar tissue is all it is. You try to heal that tube of scar tissue through there, and when you irritate it, the scar tissue gets thicker and thicker and thicker, starting to protrude out, and it's creating a barrier of harder tissue to protect the tissue that was irritated. So once the irritation, it generally starts going down, but sometimes it doesn't completely go away. That's where you need the aid of some sort of scar tissue remover. Fabian Orbitus. Oh man, I'm failing at names today. I apologize sincerely, you guys. Love your vids. When are you coming out with new episodes of What Piercing Should I Get? That is what I was discussing earlier, is I'm trying to get together a new team here to help me with some editing and some of the IT stuff, the technology. I can do some stuff, but a lot of the stuff is just still over my head, and I need some more help. And I have one person who's going to be able to help me out here in probably a week or so. So hopefully we can figure something like that out. Now, the other thing I was going to do is maybe switch over to more of a live stream for the What Should I Get Pierced series. Because that way I can get all the videos ready and we can do this. And then you guys can also be a part of me, bringing up things like, hey, would this work? Would this work? And, we might just change it up a little bit. So I plan on those coming out soon. I plan on live piercings things coming out soon. And I still want to do the stretching series. So there's stuff I want to do. But as by myself right now, it's really difficult to put those things out. But they're coming. I'm trying. I'm not giving up. I promise. Fiber Scholar, thank you. Thank you. You are very, very welcome. Thanks for being here and being a part of the community. Trudy Miller, can someone book with you and let you pick their piercing? I don't do that. I will help guide you in things you want, but I don't like picking piercings for people, because if you don't like the piercing, you're gonna have a bad experience. It might not be something that you truly wanted. I don't know your lifestyle. I don't know what your plans are. I don't know. I just don't feel as comfortable. Now, if you came to me and said, hey, I was thinking about a cartilage piercing, I don't know, maybe an industrial, a rook, or a conch, then we could discuss it. Say, hey, boy, do you want jewelry options? Do you want to put something in and leave it? Do you want something that's going to heal fast and be done with it? Do you, what are you looking for? And there I can help you pick out your piercing, but I'm not just going to pick it out blind. I don't feel comfortable doing it. I don't know why. I know there's a lot of piercers who love it, like, oh, I have free reign to do whatever I want. And it's like, it's not my body. It's just like, I wouldn't want someone to pick all the clothes out for me that I wear every day. It's like you go there and like, well, I normally don't wear, this shade of green with with stripes or whatever, but that's my 2 cents. But if you have some ideas in an area, we can discuss it and we can find what works best for you. Okay, Zulamir is here. At Chantel, yeah, I'd vote needle over dermal punch. I'm not sure why you would say that. I mean, other than the whole legal aspect, dermal punches generally aren't very painful. And I've just personally had better luck healing dermal punch ones over the needle. But if it's done properly, they both can heal. But one thing to keep in mind is those dermal anchors are typically a temporary piercing. I've never seen one last forever. Granted, they're only about 20 years old in this industry. The oldest one I've ever seen, I think, is 11 years. I've heard people say they've had them longer, but the oldest one I've ever seen is only 11 years old. Most of them reject within a couple years. Pirelli 913, I know you pierce with your own sterile jewelry, but can I bring my old jewelry in for comparison so you can see what gauge I had so I can replace it with? Yes, absolutely. You can always bring jewelry in. Like if I'm stretching or putting something in for you, I'll use used jewelry. But in initial piercing, I have to use brand new jewelry. But if you have a reference and you can bring it in, we prefer you bringing it in a baggie so it's not loose and we're spreading germs around the shop. But yeah, I have no problem looking and inspecting your jewelry and telling you, if it's the same size, the same diameter, the same gauge, same material. There's a lot of factors. So yeah, bring it on in. That's awesome. Haley, come here. What's the most interesting piercing you've ever seen? You know what? I had the answer in my mind before I even finished that question. Now, the most interesting piercing I have ever seen, my friend Shane Post did. He owns a shop in Minnesota called Wingnut Tattoo, and he did an orbital piercing in a uvula. Okay, now if you don't know what an orbital is, that's where one ring goes through two holes. He managed to do the uvula, the punching ball in the back of your throat, one piercing high, one piercing low, and managed to put a seam ring so you saw a ring going through two holes on a uvula. I've never seen anything close to that. I have no idea how he managed to do it. Hands down, the most interesting, craziest piercing I've ever seen. Now, uvula piercings are extremely dangerous. I would never recommend this. Even the best professional could possibly make a mistake and drop that needle, and you don't want to drop a needle down someone's throat. That's my 100% concern. But, oh my God, it was such a crazy piercing. I should see if I can get a hold of him and see if he can get a picture for me, because I'd love to show you guys. All right, Chris R., can I get my septum pierced a week after getting my nose pierced? Yes, absolutely. If it's a little tender, a little sore, we might put a little bit of pressure on there, but typically we should be able to do the piercing without causing problems to your nostril piercing. So yeah, good question, Chris. Ernie 193. So I recently fell. Oh man, that sounds. I don't even. So I recently fell headfirst down a set of stairs and tore out an earring. Damn. Any chance that once it heals, I'll be able to get it re-pierced, or should I abandon the spot and pierce elsewhere? Yes, you could totally get it re-pierced. Massage it, break down the scar tissue, get it looking as normal as possible first. If it ripped, you're going to have some discoloration. If you pierce through the discolored tissue, that discoloration stays there. If you use a scar tissue remover, you can get it to look normal tissue, then we can get it re-pierced. I hope you're all right. Head first down a set of stairs. Oh, I don't know. I was just watching some YouTube videos about funny falls the other day, and some of these funny falls weren't even falls. I was like, wonder if people even died on some of these. It was so disturbing. So as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh man, I'm sorry you fell like that. All right, Flo. Hey, Scott. Hope you're doing well. How can I clean the crusties that are stuck to my jewelry post? Should I remove them directly with my fingers, or will it irritate the not fully healed piercing? I love this question. Now, the reason I love this question is because a lot of people just try to pick off the crusties with their fingers. Now, here's the deal. It's a fresh piercing. Your hands are full of germs. You have touched door handles at some point in time during that day, and the people that go to the bathroom and never wash their hands, all those germs are on there, and now they're inside your nose. So the chance of infection goes through the roof. So keep your hands off. Number two, this is extremely important. If you're picking them off when they're dry, it's not all coming off together, and you're leaving little tiny micro crusties all over your jewelry, which are still going to scratch and irritate it. Now, I don't know if you're real familiar, but if you had sandpaper, like for sanding wood, there's different grits. There's really thick ones and really fine ones, and some that almost feel smooth, but it still sands. It's the same thing with crusties. It's like you're going from a super heavy duty grit one to one really fine, but it's still doing the damage if it moves back and forth. Now, when you spray your piercing with a wound wash spray similar to this, and you know, yeah, just a little squirt like that, and then let that solution soften the crusties up. You know how if you have a scab on your arm and you get out of the shower or bath and it's soft and gooey, that's what we're trying to do to these crusties, so you can just wipe them off and then the bar is completely clean. If you spray it and you wipe it, you can't get them all off, spray it again and wipe it off, and then it should come. Hopefully that helps. That was a great question. Thanks for asking that. Hiccups. I think I get them every single episode, but they're already gone. Savannah. Oh no, now I'm scared to wear my new 20 gauge titanium hoops. I first wanted to go for an 18 gauge, but I didn't know how it looked on me. As long as it's titanium and not too tight, will it be fine? Yes, you can be fine. It's if the jewelry's too tight, it's going to cause that bump and that irritation. Hopefully you're more than like 4 or 5 months in before you change to those rings. And it's a fine line. 18 and 20 gauge are so close together. They're so close that once, if you're having problems, you would be able to stretch it up to the 18 without too much pain, and then you can kind of get into that slightly better category if that's the case. If you start getting the bump, take that ring out, go back to the stud, get rid of the bump, and then think about going up to the 18 gauge. So hopefully that helps. Nothing to be scared of. The thing is like people get stubborn and leave it in way too long with the bump, and then the bump kind of gets bigger and bigger and bigger until it turns into a big problem. If you start seeing the bump, just change it back. And also, you could also do emu oil if it started getting a little irritated. Because keep in mind, your piercing's done straight, and then you're putting a curve through there. That little curve, if the tissue's too tight, is going to pinch it, and that's what causes those bumps. So emu oil can help calm it down too. And Worm, just popping in to say hi. Absolutely, thanks for coming in. I'd love it if everyone does. Even if you're here for a couple seconds, just come in, say hi, whatever. We all love each other here. This is such a great community. It's always amazed me. When I first started this channel, I was really concerned about haters. I thought it was going to be negative context all the time, this, and I just didn't want it to wear down on me. I don't know if I've ever had a negative comment or a negative thing to really kind of go against. I mean, everyone is just so cool. Thank you. Sincerely, thank you so much. And Kylie McKenzie, where is your location? I'm right here. I'm just kidding. I'm in Las Vegas. My studio is off Tropicana and Eastern. Well, it's about a block up from Eastern. It's a big gray building. We're about 3 miles off the Las Vegas Strip. And we're kind of down by the UNLV campus, University of Las Vegas. So pretty nice location. I got a fairly decent shop, huge, a lot of jewelry, but we are appointment only. So if you did come, make sure you set up an appointment before you come in. Even for jewelry shopping, you have to have appointments because we just got so busy. So yes, thank you very much, Kaylee. And Schmello, thanks for the advice. As a first-year piercer, I love watching your live and videos to learn all that I can to be the best piercer I can be. You know what? That's what... I just pressed a button. There we go. Okay. That's what this is all about. You should never, ever, ever stop learning. I've been piercing since 1994, so 28 years, somewhere around there. And I still try to take all the classes I can when piercing conferences come to town. Piercers, I can sit and talk shop all day long. It's insane. People are like, oh, you probably don't want to talk. No, I'll talk this all day long. It is my life. It's in my blood. I can't help it. And why wouldn't we want to be better? We all should strive to be the very best we can possibly be. Good for you. Thanks for being here. You're always welcome. And if you're ever in Vegas, come in and say hi. Love that. Willie. That's how I'm going to say it. Can you stretch eyebrow piercings? Ooh. A little bit. You can stretch it a little bit, but if you overstretch it, eyebrows are notorious for rejecting because there's not a good solid ridge. Like this is a natural ridge on your hand. The chance of this rejecting is a lot less than something like the top of your hand, like so. Am I holding this right? Yeah, there we go. So that's kind of the deal. If you wanted a larger gauge eyebrow piercing, which I kind of did back in the day, I would probably pierce it at that larger gauge and you have a better chance of it healing up properly. The bigger you go, the more black eye you're probably going to get though. I thought about doing like 8 or 6 gauge eyebrow piercings back in the day. I wanted to get some hollow tubes so I could wear 2 like 6 gauge. I thought it'd be pretty sick. I mean, I have all the tissue in the world for this piercing, so I could get away with it. It's very anatomy dependent, but I do 16 and 14 gauge eyebrow piercings all day long, and they seem to heal. More 16 than the 14s. I think the biggest I've ever done is a 12. I can't guarantee that, but I think that's the biggest I've ever done. So I don't know. If you guys ever stretched eyebrow piercing, I wonder. You know what? I'm going to Google that real quick. Stretched eyebrow piercing. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I'll let you kind of see what I'm looking at here. So you can see 16, 14 gauge. I'm not seeing anything too big. Wow, that's a cool lip plate. I'm not really seeing anything. It's not to say that it can't be done. Remember I was saying about black eyes? There you go. See where that little mouse is kind of circling? That's what I'm talking about. When you close your eye, you might see the eyelid kind of get a little bruised like that. I'm not seeing any. You might be one of the first if you go big. Right on. All right, back to, let's do this scene for a while. Okay, so Kaylee McKenzie, where is your shop located? Technically, our address is 2121 East Tropicana. We're about 3 miles off the strip in Las Vegas, Nevada. Rob, ooh, I have to try that. I'm not, what are we talking about? I'm not sure about that one. Yeah, I'm a little bit behind here. So, but yeah, be safe. Wanel Walwyn. Hi, Scott. This is Jay. I'm Jay. J-A. Not sure. I'm glad I found you. I've been watching your videos on helix piercings. I just had a labret piercing to my helix. Can you recommend where I can find jewelry? There's only one website I ever really suggest, and that's Body Art Forms, because they list the company you're buying it from. Most other companies, like if you went to, I don't even know the names of these companies, but they're going to have a whole bunch of random things, and if there's no name brands on there, it's generally cheaper, bad jewelry. Body Art Forms, you pick the brand, you pick the quality you want, you pick the material, and it's more legit and safer to go through. Now, I highly recommend and suggest going to your piercer and purchasing from a good quality piercer. The thing is that's what keeps us piercers alive. Piercing has kind of gone downhill. There's a lot of shops that don't even have jewelry anymore because so many people bring stuff in, and that's part of our income. So if you help that, you're help supporting the piercing community. If you're buying stuff online, you're just some random companies overseas that are trying to make a quick buck. Piercers care more than those cheaper websites. All right. And Willie, you are just so likable, man. We need more people like you, and you really know what you're talking about. And dude, that's a nice beard. Thank you very much. I always have a beard. This is the longest it ever gets. I always wanted a bigger one, but honestly, if it went bigger, it'd probably get in the way of piercing. But thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I love what I do, and as you can tell, that's what makes me happy is piercing, so I'm always happy to be around like-minded people like yourself. You're awesome, too. Thanks, Willie. Alice Durrell. Hey, Scott. So glad I could catch you for a little while on lunch at work. I hope you're having a wonderful lunch. What's for lunch today? That is the question. It's always the toughest question of the day is, what is for lunch? Well, glad you're here. Hope you had a good lunch. Hope I didn't catch you before you went back to work. And don't work too hard today. Crystal K, what do you like better, the trifecta or just the nose piercing on both sides? Now, this is someone who's been watching my channel for a while, because that's what I call the trifecta, is the nostril, septum, nostril. And you're saying, or just one on each side. I'm a fan of the trifecta. It's my favorite combo. I don't know if you can tell, but I love nose piercings. I have a whole bunch in my nose. It's just a fun piercing. You get to mix the studs with the rings. It's symmetrically balanced. You can do fun themes where they're all opals and have different looks. It can be super subtle where you have real small beads and a nice tight ring on there where it's hardly even noticeable. Or you can have like giant plugs and it's the trifecta all day long. Thanks for asking that. Haley, come here. How long does it typically take to heal a bridge piercing? I've had mine almost 2 years and I still get crusties. Had to redo it 3 separate times for different reasons. Could that be affecting it? A little bit, not too much. Crusties happen a lot. I found with mine, crusties will happen until you get the exact right size jewelry. Now, what I mean by that is sometimes it's a little too tight and it's going to pinch, causing crusties, or if it's too long, it's going to be moving back and forth. So if you're still getting crusties, maybe try a different size. Maybe stretch it up a little bit. If you're only at a 16 gauge, maybe go to the 14. Larger gauge work much better than the smaller gauge. And then, like I said, if you can see bar or if it's pinching, definitely find a different size and see if that works for you. Typically, they only last, between 4 months and a year. But yeah, a lot of that has to do with anatomy and the jewelry you're wearing. Oh, it could be material. If you have surgical steel in there and you have a slight allergy to the nickel, it's constantly going to switch. So maybe change it up to titanium if you didn't already. And Patient Zero. That's a cool name. Hey, Scott, just put in 8-gauge glass plugs in my lobes. With the jump to the 6-gauge being bigger, how would you recommend doing it safely? Worded so perfectly. I love that. The safest way to stretch your ear is to wait the right amount of time. It's going to take 6 to 8 weeks minimum. Now, the safest way to do this is going to be in the shower. So when you're in the shower, the hot water is going to kind of loosen everything up. You can take that one out, and the new one will be almost lubricated where it just falls into place. once you start getting to bigger sizes, the jumps get a little bit more bigger and bigger until you get up to like the 0. Then it starts going like 1 millimeter roughly at each time. But they do make in between sizes. If you can't get from that 8 to the 6, they do make that 7 gauge. It's kind of hard to find, but generally it's just glass. But yeah, give it a good 2 months, month and a half, 2 months, and do it in the shower, and that's the best way to go about it. And don't hurt yourself. If it hurts, you're not ready. I'm looking at the wrong camera. There we go. Absil. Hi, Scott. I got my septum pierced. I'm scared I move it too much when cleaning it. It's turned up into my nose. Do I dab the cotton swab there where I can safely, or can I do it to get it everywhere? Okay, so septum piercing, you're going to take your wound wash spray and you're going to spray directly on it, on both sides. 2 minutes later, you can go in there, and I suggest taking like a paper towel. Do I have any right here? Excuse me 1 second. Yeah. So if you were to take a paper towel instead of a tissue, and then what you can do is you can roll this up into a point like this. And then if with your hands clean, you can hold on to your septum jewelry, or if it's flipped up, you can go ahead and kind of wipe and get those crusties off there. Don't move it around too much. If it stings or hurts, that means you pulled crusties to the inside. But if you spray it and wait long enough, even if you pull those crusties inside when they're nice and gooey, it shouldn't hurt the same way. So spray, wait, and wipe it off. That's almost like something I should put on a shirt. Spray, wait, and wipe. I don't know. That probably sounds like a bathroom thing, though, too. All right, I'm a weirdo. Chantel Smith. Oh, I didn't know they were illegal. I'm not sure if it's illegal here in Germany, but I really wanted to get back dermal piercings on my birthday. Well, it's different in every city, county, state, country. It's always going to be different, and you don't know until you kind of look up the laws. I know in Las Vegas it was legal for many, many years, and now about a year and a half ago they made it illegal to do so. That's kind of the situation. Back dimples are rough. They're going to be, you're sitting down. They're going to get caught on chairs. You're going to get bumped on pants. So if you're doing back dimple piercings, make sure you're wearing lower rise pants so your pants aren't rubbing up against it. That would probably be the number one issue. But yeah, it just kind of depends. You got to look up the laws. Dominique, all good. Thank you very much. You are very, very welcome. And I just lost my spot again. Where am I? All right. Okay. So Kaylee McKenzie. Unfortunately, I live in Florida, or I would apply for the job. I would love to have one of you guys here. That'd be so cool to have someone who's a regular and understands that. But yeah, like I said, if you're interested in like an IT thing, like kind of working with me here, we got some behind the scene things, or someone who can read questions on these live chats would really, really help a lot. Just let me know. Just give the shop a call, Piercing Vegas, or send us an email and we'll kind of go from email's the better way. Yeah, send an email saying, I'm interested in the IT part, or if, and we'll kind of go from there. It's just a real part-time thing. It's just something for fun. So Jeremy Shower. Okay. Hi. I had lots of 6-gauge genital and 10-gauge double nipple piercings in the past. 10 to 20 years old. Awesome. Ever since my hernia in my back, sorry, I had to scroll up. Hernia in my back, seems like all my piercings have been tearing and rejecting. Huh. I had lots of 6-gauge. I don't know why that would correlate. Now, I really don't know. If you've had the only thing I can suggest is maybe changing out to titanium jewelry. Sometimes we can develop allergies over time, and if you've had them for 10 to 20 years, they might be steel, and that nickel in there can be causing problems. Adding the titanium is going to be much more lightweight and much more comfortable and might help save your piercings. I don't know. That's really bizarre. That's really bizarre, but sometimes the body just goes through changes and it happens. It's like our taste buds. They say, like every 10 or 12 years, your taste buds can change, and things you didn't like before, you now might like, or just vice versa. So the body changes. Titanium is the answer. I really didn't believe it you have more of a question here. Is it just time to retire them or put in smaller jewelry? I did use tapers and smaller jewelry after my appointment. Yeah, there again, change to maybe titanium jewelry. I know it's going to be more expensive because you got a bunch of larger gauge stuff, but it might be the only way to kind of save your piercings. It really might. So, and then the other thing is if you had a hernia and you had a surgery, sometimes taking the piercings out for a while and putting them back in can re-irritate them because you had to re-stretch them. If this is recent, it might just take a little bit of time for everything to calm back down for you. I hope that helps. It's kind of an odd question, but that's what we're here for. If you don't know, you got to talk about it. Crystal K, I took out 2 mid-helixes and it's been a couple months, but every time I touch it, it kind of hurts. Is that normal? I don't know. Took out 2 mid-helixes. It's kind of been a couple months every time. Depends on touch. I mean, if you're squeezing it, you're going to feel that the scar tissue to kind of like pressing it. So I can understand that a little bit. I think if you got a scar tissue remover and massaged and broke down that scar tissue, you probably get rid of that pain. So it's nothing to really worry about. Emily Shea, I'm off now. Just wanted to say thank you and mad respect for all your professional piercers. Thank you. We appreciate that. And you know what? We couldn't do it if we didn't have people to pierce like you. So thank you. James the Piercer. I've had mine for 13 years and I use punches here in Texas. It's my favorite piercing to perform. I only recommend that on high cheekbones, super fast, and I also super fast on to do also one. Okay. Yeah. 13 years is a long time for a dermal anchor. That's really, really awesome. It's not as common for people to have them that long. And you're right, the cheekbones, the high cheekbones right up here with the dermal anchors work really, really well. The other place I like to do them, when I did them, is the throat. Right in this little tiny little divot here. It's kind of protected. It's softer tissue. And when you move your head, it generally doesn't move around. So this area can work really well. The under the eye. And those are my 2 favorite spots. Hands down. Yeah, I don't do them anymore. I've done them on wrists. They get caught on everything. I've done them on eyebrows. Those tend to reject. I've had some done on my arm. You don't believe how many things you're going to hit that on. It's so annoying. So there's a lot of factors. But yeah, you're absolutely right. This is the best spot. And dermal punches are the best if you can legally do them. Good to see you, James. Or good to hear from you. I don't really see. I see James up here. I kind of see you. It's just words, though. All right. And I don't know. I'm just going to say ox, skull and crossbones, devil head. Something like that. I have piercing bump on my nose. That sucks. I currently have a spike topper that is getting caught on things. Should I change the topper to something less protruding or should I wait until it goes down? You know what? The reason you have the bump is because you're getting caught on things. So if you need to change the top of the jewelry to something a little bit more subtle and flat, that's what I suggest. I don't like piercing with spikes for that reason alone. They're more likely to get caught on things. And yeah, change it up and that'll help quite a bit. Absolutely. Lexi Etherington. I got my nostril pierced with a 16 gauge internally threaded labret. Can I downsize to an 18 gauge once it's healed? 100%. Yeah. 16 gauge is slightly larger than normal and it will shrink up back to normal. I personally don't like internally threaded labrets on piercings like that. And the reason, keep hitting these buttons. There we go. The reason I don't is because you can't stick your finger on the inside of your nose to check the tightness. Maybe you can, but that's the reason I don't. Some people will stick their finger on the inside of their nose and do counter pressure, but it's not enough to get a good, secure, tight, snug fit. I find that people with internally threaded nostril piercings lose their jewelry more than the threadless. The threadless or, the pin ones work much, much better. Changing the scene again. There we go. All right. So, just Erica, how long should I wait after a failed stretch? My ear became irritated first stretch when I tried to start off from a 12 gauge and my ears were at a 16 to start with. Okay. So sometimes you can go from a 16 to a 12 if there's enough time in between, but generally you should do one stretch at a time. So I'm assuming you probably went back to the 16 gauge and you're just wearing that, and maybe just go get a 14 so you do a half of a stretch and it should be fine. If you overstretch, your ears are going to swell up. It's going to be really sore. And that's not the way stretches are supposed to go. You should be able to put it in. It's like putting on a tight pair of pants at the beginning of the day. By the end of the day, they're just a little bit looser. That's what it's all about. But yeah, you can, how long should you wait? I didn't answer your question. I'm sorry. At least a couple weeks to maybe a month. Once your piercing feels normal again, then you're ready to stretch. If you're stretching with a sore ear, you're just going to cause more problems. You're going to have problems again. So, all right. Michelle Valentine, you're just that awesome. No, you're just that awesome. We're all awesome here together. So, like one big happy family. Thank you very much, Michelle. Zulima Zahir, something that Matt Southwood and some other piercers have said that, let me scroll up a little bit here. Okay. Piercers have said that made sense to me. Less scarring and quicker heal, according to them, since it's less tissue being removed. I don't know, what were we talking about here? I got to go back up a little bit. I'm not seeing it. Shoot. Sorry about that. I lost my spot. Okay, we're getting close. I'm guessing we're talking about the dermal anchors. I'm not 100% sure what Zulima Zahir says again, because they're saying that other piercers have said it makes sense that there's less scarring and quicker heal according to them since there's less tissue being removed. But the thing is like we're talking dermal anchors with a biopsy punch versus a needle. But the thing is I could say the opposite of that too, because when you're using a biopsy punch, you're removing tissue, so there's less pressure and less irritation on there. I know my biopsy punch and my helix up here healed way faster than a normal helix does, and that was done right at a 0 gauge. So it's kind of different and situational. But again, biopsy punches are borderline illegal. I hope we're talking about the same thing here. If not, let me know. All right. Let me highlight stuff so I don't get as lost again. Alice Durrell. Gotta go. Hope to catch you again at some point. Oh, I hope you will too. I'll definitely be doing these, and we try to do them every week. I just had a kind of a rougher month where I had to take a mental health break, and yeah, but I'll be back next Wednesday. Ernie193, and after that earring tore out, I realized that the top of the adjacent earring was jammed inside my ear. Ouch. A nurse had to get tweezers and rip it out of my ear. That piercing, I'm gonna let go. Yeah, that one sounds about done. Oh, that sounds terrible. So it got ripped out and the beads stayed inside the ear? Gnarly. I'm sorry to hear that. And if you end up scarring real bad, like that's where the Mederma or scar tissue will help you out. Flo, Scott, do you recommend Q-tips for cleaning ear piercings, particularly the crusties around the jewelry posts? I never recommend Q-tips. Now, the reason I don't use Q-tips, cotton swabs, anything with the loose cotton fibers is the cotton can wrap around and then that turns into a bacteria trap where all the germs and stuff can stick to. It's also going to, crusties are going to get adhere to there and it's going to be tougher to wipe off. So if you use a paper towel, a piece of gauze, or some sort of a clean microfiber cloth, that's going to probably be the best thing to wipe off crusties as opposed to the Q-tips. Now, if you are using a Q-tip, I do suggest getting it wet and make sure that the cotton is nice and tight on there before you actually start touching your piercing. If you do with the dry, cotton's just going to stick there. If you're doing this on nose or anything with a gem, you're going to have fuzzy gem. No one wants a little cotton stuck all inside that gem, and that's really tough to get out there. So paper towels, gauze, or that microfiber cloth should help quite a bit better. All right, and moving on to S2. How can I clean my smiley piercing properly? I have a segment ring, and it's so hard to clean. I cannot fully clean it, nor can I open it. Greetings from the Netherlands. Awesome. Welcome in. Now, a segment ring, it's like if you had like a little C and instead of putting a bead here to kind of keep it closed, you have like another gap of the ring. So you got to open it up and then it pinches on that segment. Now these segments are nice because they're like kind of maintenance free. You just put them in there. But what I suggest for cleaning that is just an alcohol-free mouthwash. Just rinse with the mouthwash. I like Biotine. And if it really bothers you and you feel like you have to take it out, I would suggest maybe looking into a clicker. Instead of having that hit, because you need tools to kind of prop that, but it's not ever going to fall out. A clicker is basically a segment ring, but it's hinged on one side, so you can take that in and out yourself. Sometimes oral piercings are going to get plaque on there, which is kind of like that white hard crusty stuck to it, you can use like the wooden, like a toothpick, kind of break it in half and use that to kind of scrape off the actual plaque that's stuck to the jewelry. Other than that, just alcohol-free mouthwash is all you need to clean that piercing. And Zulamaza here. Heck yeah, support your local piercer. Please, it's... Why wouldn't you? Why are you going to go to some hack, some person down the block, or your brother or your sister who can do it for a cheaper price and mess you up? Support your local piercer, buy from your piercer, and listen to your piercer. If you have problems, go to your piercer. Don't listen to your friends. We're here to help, and we love what we do. That's why we do what we do. All right. Kaylee McKenzie. Sorry, my phone repeats itself sometimes. Mine does too. Mine does too. No problem. S2, is it normal that nipple piercings after 3 years still get crusties? Jewelry's a bit too long. You answer your own question right there. Irritation is going to cause the crusties, so if you shorten your bar a little tiny bit, I bet they'll stop. So yeah, it is normal. I have seen them, last up to 2 years before. That's with proper fit jewelry, but if it stays irritated, the body's trying to... I don't know why I would keep doing it. It doesn't make sense. But yeah, anyways, crusties do last a long time, especially when they're being irritated. So shorten up the bar. Savannah, are you married? No, if you don't mind me asking. No, I am not married. I'm married to my work. I don't have any kids. I don't have a wife. I just, I have a shop and I have a YouTube channel. That's my relationship. All right. In his Philippa. Hey, I've been looking forward to get a scoop piercing, but I did some research on it, and the one I wanted, horizontal, is not safe. Is the vertical one better? I know it can reject. I don't suggest any of these. The thing is it's too far off to the side. It's probably going to reject, and you're going to have a really nasty, weird scar across your tongue. The same thing with the vertical. They typically don't last. Now, the horizontal one, definitely dangerous because you have a lot of veins. When you look at the bottom of your tongue, you got 2 giant veins there, and there's other ones in there too, and there's no way you can really see to avoid those types of things. So it could be a really big mess and a lot of problems. I don't like scoops, horizontal or vertical. I don't like snake eyes. The only tongue piercings I like is either the traditional through the center or the venom piercings, one on each side, which take longer to heal because they're going through the muscle tissue, or the frenum, which is the web on the underside. Right through there. Yep. So, safe. You know what? The vertical one might be more safe than the horizontal. But then again, if you're doing vertical like that, it's going through connective tissue, not the muscle tissue. So that might be weaker and a better chance of rejecting. And then if it rejects, you're going to have a really weird scar on your tongue. So I'm just not a fan of them. I'm really not. I don't do those either. So. Katie Rundell. Hey, Scott, good to see you again. I've been contemplating getting a philtrum pierced at a larger size, possibly 4 gauge. What are some of the pros and cons with this? Woo, that's a big piercing. It looks super, super cool. The cons, you're going to have a way bigger scar if it decides you don't want to have that anymore. That's probably going to be the biggest con. Now, the other thing is with a larger piece of jewelry is... that's probably equally a con, is you could have gum erosion on the top of your teeth if it's too big of a disc or rubs directly against there. And if they get wrong placement and you get that, then you have that giant scar after you take it out. So that's kind of the con with it. It is something you could stretch up. I've seen people do it and it looks really, really cool, and that's more likely to shrink up more than actually piercing at the larger size. The pros... you're saving money on jewelry. It's done right away. Larger gauge piercings typically heal faster than normal size ones. I'll never be able to understand that one. But yeah, so I hope that helps. It's going to be a little sensitive up there, but it'll look really cool. All right, Jill Eggers. What size surface bar do you use while doing a chest piercing? I do 14 gauge surface bars. Typically, I use like a 2 millimeter uplift or a 3/32 uplift, and I like to use the flat bars. Now, what I mean by that is like a normal surface bar is like a tube, but the flat ones have the tube uplifts with, let me see if I can find a surface bar here. going to switch pages here. There we go. All right, so you can see the one that I've highlighted here. See how it's round on the bottom there? I'm not a big fan of that. I like the flat surface ones like this. You see how it's round on the sides and flat there? Those typically work better. Now, the other reason why I like these is sometimes the surface area, like if you said if you're doing it on, say, the chest. Okay, if it's on your chest and it's kind of like a little rounded there, we can put a small bend on there. And with that small bend, it actually can kind of fit to the skin. If you're putting a surface bar on a rounded area, you see those ends stick out a little bit and it's not going to be flush up against the chest. It's more difficult to do. Now, if you're talking about a cleavage piercing, typically you got to go a little bit higher up for it to work. We find that the lower ones down here, there's so much movement that they typically reject out. I haven't had a lot of great luck. I have had some heal, but the higher up you go with the less movement, the better chance you're going to have. Now, collarbone piercings, not actually underneath the collarbone, but if you did surface bars in your chest there, those ones can heal. But the thing is like when we're wearing bags over our shoulders, seat belts, bra straps, shirts, you're going to get caught on there. Towels grab a hold of these ones really easy. They're really, really prone to rejecting and leaving really big scars, which kind of sucks. So, yep. So hopefully that helps. Julie McSorley, are you continuing the What Should I Get Pierced series? I was talking about that earlier today, and I'm going to change it up a little bit. I'm going to be doing more of a live chat style What Should I Get Pierced? We're going to do a whole bunch of them and try to blast out a whole bunch, and then I might be able to edit them down, but that way I can also get your opinions on here as well at the same time. I am looking to hire on more of an IT guy to kind of help me out with these things. I'm all by myself, and I'm struggling with all the technologies to getting everything to work the same way it used to work. But we will get there. It is on the plan. It is on the agenda. Okay? Thank you. James the Piercer. I saw a lady performing a cartilage piercing, and she went from the back and then put the flat back jewelry in the bevel and pulled the needle back throughout the front. What are your thoughts and comments? Oh, I don't even need to read the rest of it. Okay. So what they're saying, what James is saying is cartilage piercing, she pierced from the front to the back, so the point of the needle is going to the back of the ear, and they obviously used a way oversized needle where the jewelry goes inside the needle, and they were able to pull it back. Now the thing is you should try to not pull the bevel of the needle back through the piercing, because those needles are so sharp that once you do a piercing, the end of it almost starts barbing and changing shape. And when you pull it back through, it's almost like re-piercing and re-scratching the top. It's really tough to kind of back things through. The better bet here is to take a pin or a threaded taper and like butt it up to the end, slide that through, screw the jewelry on, and then pull it back through. It's one more step, but it's a lot safer and works 1,000 times better. So, and then also I'm not a big fan of like piercing a larger size cartilage and putting jewelry inside it. To me, that sounds like someone who doesn't know how to do a piercing, and that way they're not going to lose the connection. But again, if you use that pin or threaded taper, that tool doesn't allow you to lose that connection, and it's safer for the body. Yeah, not a fan of it. Not a fan of it. Okay, Dania Elizardo, opinions on BVLA. Wow, you hit on a subject there. BVLA, amazing, beautiful, beautiful jewelry. I am not a fan of the company personally. Kind of controversial, but the reason I'm not a fan is because of the wait times. I know back in the day, people were waiting 6 months to a year for their jewelry, and a lot of people don't want to wait that long to get their jewelry. And it really, really makes us piercers look bad when there's that long of a wait to get just a simple design. My other 2 cents is I think, well, when I opened my piercing studio, they said that they wouldn't sell to me because there's a wait list and I have to get on the wait list. And I told them, I said, I'm in Las Vegas. I'm one of 2 piercing only studios at the time, and I'd like to carry your jewelry. And they said, well, no, we can't. And I'm like, well, I know that there's all these other tattoo shops in town that are on the list that never ordered from you, but I could have when I could. So you're going to sell to all the tattoo shops, but not the piercing shops. And I just really disagreed with that. I like jewelry companies should support their piercers, and I feel like they were supporting the tattoo shops over me. I understand you can't drop them, but I know a lot of these companies never ordered from them anyways. So they have a lot of beautiful, beautiful jewelry, but my shop does not carry them. I'm not going to make people wait that long. I just won't do it. So that's my opinion. It's beautiful jewelry. I'm not going to say it's not, because it is. But as a business owner, not a fan of that wait. So that's my 2 cents. But yeah, if you got some, good for you. That's some beautiful, beautiful stuff. And Esme1457, oh my God, it's so good to see you live. Thank you. I'm so glad you're here. I just got my first tattoo on Friday the 13th. Congratulations. I'm curious what you got. Friday the 13th tattoo in October? Is it a Halloween thing? Is it a 13 theme? What'd you get? Yeah, hope you've been warned. They're kind of addicting. They got me. All right. And, okay, so we got a little bit more time here. I got a few more questions. We'll go for another like 5 or 10 minutes. All right, and there we go. And Zulima Zahir. High cheekbones really do seem like such a good placement for dermals. Had mine for 10 years and the right one for 11 years. That's amazing. Like I said, that's the longest I've ever seen. James says he had one for longer, and that's amazing. Now, part of the reason why people lose these piercings is they get bored with the jewelry and they want to change it out. And when you change out these piercings, they get irritated so quick. So if you have one that long and it doesn't look bad and it's good jewelry, don't mess with it. You know, you're just kind of cursing yourself that way, and there's a chance of it's going to reject, and that's typically what happens. People get them changed, they're like, what's going on now? It's all red and irritated, and then it starts surfacing, and the body eventually says no. So be nice to your dermals, people. Lit Wolf, guys, be very careful in how you treat your piercings. I got my left ear, and it grew a small bump, but been there for like a year or so. I'm pretty sure it's a keloid. I'm pretty sure it's probably not a keloid. It's probably just a piercing bump. Keloids are going to continue to grow and they never go away. And it's a medical condition you would know about. If you had a cut on your arm, those keloid. If any other piercing in your body, that would have keloid. It's generally pretty problematic. Now, the thing is if you get the right size jewelry, and it doesn't get irritated, like you said, be careful how you treat your piercing. If you're bumping it, hitting it, those bumps grow. And sometimes you get to the point where you just have to take your piercing out, retire it, massage it, get that scar tissue to go back down, and start over if you don't want to have that bump. Because once that bump's been there a long time, it's hard to get rid of. It's really hard, almost impossible. So thanks, Lit. Just Erica, yes, I went back to a 16. Good. That definitely helps. I think we were talking about overstretching your ears and when can you do it again, as long as you keep jewelry in there. If you upset a piercing and you take it out, it's going to close up like that. It becomes an open wound. The skin can seal back together. Otherwise, if it's not irritated, you have that tube of scar tissue and it just shrinks a little bit. So yeah, if you have an irritation, go back to the downsize, give it a month, maybe 2 months, and then go up to the 14. Should go in much, much easier. And then you have that 12 for when you're ready a month and a half, 2 months later after that. Lip Wolf, I wanted to get that bump keloid removed, but I'm scared of it growing back bigger. Get it removed. Don't let someone cut it off. That's not a job for piercers to do, and it can cause a lot more problems. I would say inspect your jewelry, see if it's the jewelry that's causing the problem or if you figure out what it is. Sometimes you can take your piercing out. If you're talking like a earlobe piercing, take it out, massage that tissue, and put your jewelry right back in when you're done. Massaging can break down some of the scar tissue and make it go back to normal again. If it's cartilage, sometimes you can't do anything about it. I have seen people use the no-pull discs, which are like a round silicone disc where they put on the back side of the cartilage. If your bump's on the back, you put it in between that flat disc, then silicone, and then the jewelry. And that silicone pressure on there can flatten things out a little tiny bit. So, yeah, good luck with it. But yeah, don't get it cut off or removed that way. That's the wrong way. You should be able to massage it. And just Erica says thank you. You're very welcome. Gino MJ, dude, your head tattoo looks so cool. How can we see a little bit more detail? How painful was it? You know what? That's the first time someone's asked me about that question here. It was probably one of the easiest tattoos I've had in my entire body. I have about 24 hours into it. It never really hurt except for the forehead stuff. It was a little bit scrapey up here, but the rest felt like a head massage. It is actually kind of a design, the shape of a scarab beetle. Let me change to this. I'll put my head down and see if you can just move the microphone. So you can see how you got some legs on the side of the body. It's more of a design than it is a full realistic scarab beetle. Now this is old. This is really, really old. I got this done in 96 or 97. And I have been talking to my tattoo artist, and that's one of my next big projects. I got to fly out to, I think it's Virginia. That's where he's working right now, and we're going to redo the whole thing. There used to be a bunch of yellows and greens and reds in there. And over the years, the sun killed it. It's kind of faded. So, and then I also want to add more on the sides here because it's like a scarab beetle, kind of Egyptian. I was thinking maybe it's like some pyramids and a sphinx over here. I just want a little bit more. I don't want a full skull cap where it comes all the way down. I just want to add just a little bit more on the sides here and get some color back in there for sure. 1L Walwyn. Thank you, Scott. I purchased 2 tragus and a helix. Lots of money and a $75 tip for my piercer. Single dad with 2 boys. Hope I helped him out a little. I guarantee you did. A $75 tip is incredible. Thank you so much. We do appreciate tips. I will say for myself, I never expect a tip, but it's always appreciated. I really dislike the piercers who expect things like that all the time because the tip comes from good service. It's just not an automatic, here's more money for you. That means you appreciated the service, and it sounds like you did, and it's really amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I see Aria. I see. I think I said it right the first time. Hello, Scott. Are you going to be doing any more piercing suggestion videos? Greetings from Greece. Yeah. Third suggestion. I guess this is probably one of my more popular videos, and I need to really focus on getting those out. I'm sorry I haven't done them in so long. It's been a couple months. Yeah, I'll focus on that. That's coming next. Okay, cool. You guys made your point. And Jeremy Shower also had high blood pressure issues started the time of my hernia, and can blood pressure cause these piercings to reject? Just being, I'm not saying you're unhealthy, but that those things can all have a factor in your piercings, and it can help kind of change the body too. I know medications can cause piercings to reject. There's a lot more to it than we really, really, truly do understand. So it is possible. Yeah. I don't know if 100%, it's possible. That's where I'm going to stay with that one. It is Philippa. Thank you so much. Congrats on your amazing work. Your content is extremely helpful. Lots of love from Portugal. Wow, from Portugal. Awesome. I love that we are hitting the whole world here. Thank you for being part of our community. Michaela Schaefer, the name is Joe. Is it normal for piercing bumps to itch and bleed? It's a vertical industrial, about 4 months old, and it's caused by the jewelry coming undone. Took me 30 minutes to get back in. Ouch. The itch and bleeding feels like when it was first pierced. Absolutely. Basically what's going on is you really upset your piercing by putting it back in. It didn't want to go back in, but sometimes you gotta force things to happen. And when you do that, you had to re-stretch the hole, and it got irritated. Your body's looking at this like a sliver now, and it's trying to expel and push it out. And a lot of times after a couple days or even a couple weeks, if it's really a lot of pressure, it eventually gives up. So some sort of anti-inflammatory, like cold soaks, like stick your ear in some cold water, that can kind of probably help cool it down, get rid of some of the swelling. Ibuprofen, Aleve, Advil, some sort of anti-inflammatory can help. And then also look into that emu oil. That emu oil, if it's really upset, will help calm it down and make it feel better. But yeah, that itchiness, it's your body saying, itch it, try to get that stuff out. So just kind of ignore it. It's a mental thing, and overcome that tendency to scratch or touch your piercing with that emu oil and get the swelling down. It should go back to normal fairly quick. If it was bleeding, yeah, it does happen. If you had to reopen that hole a little tiny bit, a vertical conch industrial is pretty intense. So, all right. And Zulima Zahir, Zulema Zahir. I'm saying it faster and faster. Venoms are such an awesome and less common tongue piercing. Highly recommend those, although the swelling and healing sucks. You're right. I always tell people, like, I hope you don't have a job where you have to speak to people because you're going to sound like a fool. Imagine putting a couple marbles or beads in your mouth and trying to talk, and it's just weird. Now, normal tongue piercing, venom piercings, by the way, go through the muscle tissue. A normal tongue piercing goes through the connective tissue. So being we're going through the muscle tissue, you're going to have more swelling, a little bit more pain. I even put a slightly longer bar in there. And then on top of that, like if you've had a tongue piercing, imagine having 2 of those bars and slightly longer. It's really tough to talk. And then downsizing after like probably like 2 to 4 weeks is when you can downsize to put the shorter ones in, and then it's back to normal and you're totally fine, but you gotta downsize. All right, thank you for that too, bro, you fra. And about oral piercings, getting plaque on the bottom of the ball of your tongue piercing gets so bad. It does happen. If you get a higher quality piece of jewelry, I mean, some people are more prone to the plaque than others, but if you have a good smooth bead, there's less plaque to sticking to it. So the higher polish, the less chance you're gonna have of this. If you're buying stuff from like Spencer's in some random place, you're probably gonna have more of a buildup than you do from buying from someone who has a higher quality piece of jewelry that they're gonna pierce you with. And again, it's annoying. The nice thing about tongue piercings is they don't close up very fast, so you can take it all the way out. And once it's all the way out, then you can hit it with that toothpick and break off all that plaque, get it cleaned up, and then back to normal again. So cool. Thanks for letting us know that. Vic, hello from Scotland. Awesome. My land. My name's Scott. That's a bad joke. Starting my stretching journey for my septum, but I would like to stack. What's a good way to start? I've heard that the tunnel, it creates a different shape rather than the regular stretching. It kind of does. Not a huge difference. I would suggest start stretching to a normal piece of jewelry instead of the stacking right away. You can maybe go up to an 8 gauge or maybe even with a 6 gauge. And once you get to that larger size, then you can take it out and get like 3 or 4 of the rings in. And then it just kind of reshapes and restructures the way the hole goes. But you do need a little bit more room. If you're initially at a 16 or a 14, it's real tough getting another piece of jewelry in there. But if, like I said, if you go to the 10 or the 8 or even bigger, you can get multiple in there and it's a lot easier to get started there. Second round of hiccups. All right. And we're going to take one more here, and I think that'll be it for the day. Julie McSorley, how did you get into piercing? It's been something I've been very interested in doing, but I don't know how to get started into it. There's no local shop where I live, so it seems like I'm stuck. All right, Julie. I hate saying this, but a lot of people who want this career might have to move. Go to a bigger city, go to a place where you can get the apprenticeship. And I know if you go to the body APP website, safepiercing.org, I think there's a chart in there for like job board where people are looking for apprentices looking for piercers, vice versa. And you might have to travel to do it. I mean, it is a career, and think about if you go to college, not everyone stays in the same city. Sometimes you have to travel to go to the best place to get that proper education. And it is a career, so that might be something you have to do, or just keep looking to see if there is someone in town who could pierce you. But again, you want to have a quality piercer to get you all the right information you need. So I wish you the best of luck on that. I wish everyone the best of luck. I wish everyone has the most wonderful day in the world. Thank you for joining me today. Again, my name's Scott. Make sure you hit the like, hit the subscribe, and of course, keep putting holes in your body. We'll see you on the next video.